In this video, we are going to talk about the ecosystem of the browser. What are the things browsers are consist of? We know that whenever we want to execute JavaScript, we open browser and we start executing the code. The reason we do that is because every browser has a JavaScript engine, and JavaScript engine is the thing that compiles JavaScript to machine code so the browser is able to understand that. In short, what does it mean is, because there is an engine present in the browser, we are able to execute JavaScript inside the browser. But is JavaScript the only thing inside the browser? What are the other things that is present inside the browser is not even a part of JavaScript are HTML DOM. Then we have things like timer, using which we can schedule any tasks to happen in future. So we have a way using which we can make network request. Then we have things like history, we have things like location. So in this way, we can see and many other things, right? These are just a few of them that we are mentioning it right here. So there are a lot of things that is present inside the browser, things like HTML DOM, timer, network request, history, and location. Those things are not even part of JavaScript, but those things are present in the browser. And because JavaScript is the only language that runs in the browser, we can access them using the API that browser provides. You must be thinking, what is API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. So it's a way through which you can interface with a program. So think of it to be something like a coffee maker machine. So you have a coffee maker machine and it has its own process of making coffee. You have to give them access to milk, coffee beans, and sugar, and coffee maker machine will go through the process and make coffee for you. But how do you interface with the coffee maker machine? So you have a button here, right? So by clicking on the button, you are able to instruct or give instruction to coffee maker machine of what to do. So this button in terms of programming is known as API. So this is Application Programming Interface. Or you can think about this is the interface through which you can program or give instruction to this coffee maker machine. So similarly, to access all these features like HTML DOM, timer, network request, history, location, browser provides API. You can also think of it a way for us to interface with these features. So the way to access HTML DOM is by using document. And if you want to interact with the timer, you have to use setTimeout. Similarly, for network request, we use XHR and fetch. For history, we use history. And for location, we also use location. So these are the features that is present inside browser that is not even a part of JavaScript. And using these things like document, setTimeout, XHR, history, location, we are able to interact using JavaScript. Because JavaScript is the only language that is present inside the browser, so using JavaScript, we can interface with them. So whenever we want to interact with the DOM, we go ahead and say document.querySelector. We want to interact with timer, we go ahead and say setTimeout. So just because JavaScript is present inside browser, there are a lot of features that we get access to because JavaScript runs in the browser. Things like history, timer, HTML DOM, network request, location, and history. And how do we interface with them? By using the functions provided by browser, also known as API. So these all extra feature other than JavaScript altogether is also known as web browser APIs. So you can think of HTML DOM to be a web browser API. Similarly, timer, location, history, XHR, fetch, these are all web browser API. So in that way, what happens? JavaScript can access all these features using which we can make our application really, really powerful. Like you must have seen that if you access a website that needs access to your location, JavaScript has nothing to do with location. It's just the browser that gives access to location. Along with that, it provides an API using which your application gets to know what is the location of the person or something like that. Similarly, we use to get the history of the browser. Similarly, we use fetch or XHR or timeout to document in different ways. So in this way, we got to understand that browser consists of a lot of other features other than just JavaScript. And browser provides an API. You can also call them an interface through which JavaScript can interact with them. So the interfaces are like document, setTimeout, XHR. So when we say document, we know that we are interacting with HTML DOM. When we say setTimeout, we know that we are interacting with the timer API provided by web browser API. So in next videos, we are going to look at how this whole ecosystem works together that can help us and give us access to some extra functionalities that we can use to enhance our applications.